Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. This is a special episode, just a solo episode. It is the part two of our Egypt recap. And in this episode, we really want to share all of the downloads and transmissions that we were left with at the end of this journey. So we have a little bit more of like storytelling and things that we want to share that were part of the unfolding. But in this episode, we really want to share the big downloads, the wisdom codes that we were really receiving from Egypt and from the ancient wisdom there that we want to share with our community, that we're excited to integrate further ourselves and with our Egypt retreat family and with everyone here, because we truly believe that this timing right now, as we get closer and closer to the new paradigm and so much powerful new technology is coming in, we really need to ground that and pair that with this ancient wisdom. It's really interesting. That's been a huge theme for Shayna and I. We've both been really fascinated in AI in the last like months before Egypt and also coming home from Egypt, because it's just such an undeniable part of our future and of our evolution and expansion as human beings. And we know that a lot of people feel fear around what the future of AI and other technology could hold. We feel fear about all of the new systems and all of the new things that are going to be coming in that we don't even have awareness of. And for us, it's like we cannot live in that place of fear. We must live in a place of grounded truth, of knowing yourself and really being confident in your own authority and anchoring in all of the new progress that we create with ancient wisdom. So we're excited to dive into this. We really feel like it's prevalent. And where did we leave off, Shayna, on our last?
Well, we just finished the Nile and now we have arrived in Aswan. If you listen to part one, we'll just keep going with the story where we left off. And Aswan is further, it's like south in Egypt, right? It's southern Egypt. So it was really hot. And um, that's different experience than I had the last time I was there, because I was there in January. So it was really hot and it's so beautiful. The old Cataract Hotel that we stayed at is one of the nicest in the world and truly a magical place. And the whole time that we were there, it was all about relaxing, integrating pool days, spa days, having everyone just really soak it up. But in that time that we were there, we also went to Philae, and that's the temple of Isis. And this temple is really interesting for me because something that's really fascinating to me lately is working with energy. Like, I mean, obviously, I've always been fascinated in working with energy, but working with the energy that is around us, like Qi Gong, and working with like literally moving the energy in our bodies, something that I'm really passionate about in human design is feeling the energetic frequencies of your channels or your gates or your gifts or your centers, whatever that is, your strategy, feeling how your energetic body feels, or if there's any knots or any resistance that you can actually feel when you're moving against your strategy, for example. And instead of having everything be so intellectualized and understood mentally, really dropping down into the body and feeling this sense of um, energetic resistance or flow, energetics like a low expression, what that feels like in your body of this gift versus the high expression, what that feels like in your body. And so a big theme on our Egypt trip, we wove in to everybody's workbooks, their gene keys, and everybody got every single gene key that they have in their body graph based off of what center we were exploring, based off of the temples where we were in Egypt. So we broke down the energetics of like the city and the gift and the shadow of each one of your gene keys and really simplified it. And part of that, right, like understanding those energetics of your gifts can be felt in the body. Like, what does that feel like to read these words? What does that feel like to sit with this information? And as you're moving through physically the land, can you feel these different activations in your body? So I say that to kind of premise my experience in Philae at Isis Temple, because the energy there, the energy grid there is really interesting to me, because this is a temple that was moved after the dam was put in, and they moved this temple out from under the water up into a different location. So already I feel every time that I've been to this temple, like, um, I want to say, like, not something's off, but
Slightly displaced. Like you kind of
displaced.
feel, yeah, that this energy has been just slightly displaced.
Yes, and not
Because
as
it is kind of close to the original location that it was. It's not that far away, but it does feel just, like someone picked something up off a table and skewed it and it's sort of sitting a little bit sideways or something like that.
yes, exactly. And so the energy feels like that to me. And but at the same time, it feels very calm to me when I've been there.
Mhm.
Like I almost feel sleepy, or um what's the word? Like so blissed out where you're just like chilling.
I was gonna
That's
say snuggly, like snuggly and
snuggly.
in like your
Yes.
grandmother's arms or something.
Exactly. That's exactly how it feels to me. And so when we went to Philae and we did our ceremony, it was really cool because we got to go into, the Holy of Holies, and we had candles lining the walkway, and it was so cool to be in this temple by ourselves.
And and there were like cat guardians that greeted us before the sun rose, like a cat guardian just sitting there. And I thought that it would move or scurry as we came, but it sat there the entire time, watched us all come in, sat there for our entire circle together, and then escorted us out. Like the cat guardian energy there was so mystical and special.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And snuggly.
Snuggly.
Snuggly. And yeah, in the ceremony, I just kept seeing energetic grids, like almost like pulsing, like a pulse up and then like down with like all of our intentions and prayers, like, and it would ripple out throughout like the land. And it it almost felt like you have to try a little bit harder to and be more, even more intentional, to set and weave these energetic codes that we were really weaving on this trip, because of the displacement of where this temple was. But it also felt like an even bigger offering, because it's interesting observing the temples in Egypt and how the ones who were dedicated to female goddesses, they are the ones that are the most desecrated or the most displaced, and
Or
you'll
defaced, like
or
literally people
defaced.
came and defaced all of the goddesses, slashed their faces, blew their faces up with a cannon or whatever it is to kind
Yeah.
of take away from their power or the ability for people to worship them or connect with them more easily.
Yeah, and it's an interesting reflection of our history, because whether that was intentional or not, it's crazy to see, when you go into Dendera, which we talked about in the last episode, all of the faces on every single, whether they're a male Neteru or a female Neteru, it doesn't matter. Like all of the hieroglyphics are etched out, and then you find like rooms that maybe they didn't have access to because they were hidden, but now they've been found and they're all perfect and pristine, right? And so all of Dendera is etched out, and it's kind of crazy to see the effort that they went through to deface the temple and these gods and goddesses. And then you go to, Isis temple, and there's all of these tags everywhere from like the 1820s. It was just like the time that a bunch of people came and like wrote their names in the wall with the year. And it's like 1806 John, and or they would just like deface the temple, like literally graffiti from the 1800s on these temples. And it's crazy to really see that this temple then once again, just maybe because of the energetics or whatever was meant to be, this is one that was displaced, right? And then you go to other temples like Edfu or Komombo, and everything is so perfectly intact. And maybe that's because the people who were coming around and defacing, like with, I think it's like the Crusades or the Romans or someone came through and defaced. Maybe they just didn't visit those temples. Maybe they didn't have access to them the way that they traveled. Like, I don't know the exact specifics,
But
but it
those
is
two
a
that you're those two that you're saying are like to the gods or the Neteru, Sobek, the crocodile god, and then Horus. And so those are literally like the masculine temples that you're saying that have
yes.
not been defaced, and they have really easy access. Like Komombo is literally right on the river that people
But
could.
maybe they didn't go there. Like,
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
just
true.
trying to give like a
The
who knows?
patriarchy, the benefit of the doubt.
Well, no, I'm just trying to show that like our how it's crazy to see how our physical world is a reflection of our
Yeah.
collective consciousness, right? And
And
how
maybe that was very intentional, or maybe you're saying it was unconscious or by chance, but nonetheless,
but
it
it
still is a
reflected still.
reflection. Totally.
Exactly. So like the collective hate and fear of women is reflected in how these temples have been defaced or not, maybe by chance or maybe just because it's a manifestation of the collective energy. And so it's really interesting to see how like these are some of our favorite temples were, and the most grand temples were dedicated to these female archetypes and goddesses, and yet they're the ones that like went through the most defacing, right? The most physical trauma on the temple walls themselves. And so it felt like a welcomed hug and a welcomed blessing or welcomed offering, the work that we were doing at Isis Temple. Like the gentleness, but also the extra work to do intentional energy work there. I just kept feeling like this gratitude, like immense gratitude from the temple itself, from the land, from Isis, from everything, from the cats around us. Like literally, I just, every time that I've been there, I get that sense of gratitude that is snuggly, like you said, and just like at peace. But I'm curious for you how this ceremony was for you at Isis Temple.
Well, it's so interesting because just to remind everyone, in case you haven't listened to part one, this is literally the first time Shane and I are sharing with each other our unique experiences. And we actually waited to have these deeper conversations with each other about our internal experience until now on the podcast. So it's really cool to hear what you're saying about in ceremony at Philae, weaving those codes and it being a little bit harder and literally having to like put all of your intention into creating that energy grid and those codes and then sending it out. I visually saw the exact same thing. And we were talking, in ceremony and in our meditation, we were talking about our past lineage of women, of grandmothers, of mothers, down the line, and kind of using this opportunity in this moment to heal whatever needed to be healed, and seeing like I visually saw the codes and the prayers that we were sending out and having to like put that extra effort into weaving them and creating their structure and seeing them rise and fall. So like very similar to what you visualized, which is
Wow.
really cool. And then we also talked about, the future generations, whether it is our genetic family or the family, like humanity that we're connected to and the women in front of us in the future timeline, sending out those codes to them as well. And for me, it was just all of this female grandmother, like Isis energy actually reminds me more of grandmother, and Hathor reminds me more of like sexy mama, if that makes sense. Even though Isis is also a
Mm,
mother, I have this feeling about her like the grandmother rose. It's like a different energy than Hathor. And also people could liken Isis to Mother Mary and Hathor to Mary Magdalene, which really goes in alignment with those feelings. But
interesting.
as I was thinking about this grandmother energy, we're in that circle together, and I was just overcome with the feeling of the feminine rising and everything that you're saying too, Shane, of walking in and feeling like this female energy temple has been displaced, it's been defaced, and like the sadness of that, and thinking of our female lineage in the past and kind of offering our compassion and our understanding and our healing to their journey, like just all of this female energy I overcame with. And then all of a sudden I just like broke into tears, like sobbing, and got down on my knees and just cried because this male energy came in for me so strongly that it literally brought me down to my knees, feeling that the men in our lives, like literally seeing your husband there holding your baby while you're leading a ceremony of women, my husband being there, my sister's husband being there in circle together, and feeling how they are not, these men in our lives right now, in this present moment, are not afraid of our power. They're not resistant to our power. They don't want to cloak our power. They're not intimidated by our power. And feeling that they are doing the work to heal their inner feminine, and that they're doing the work to heal their feminine lineage, past, present, future. And I just had this like overcome like body sensation of gratitude for the fact that it's not just about the feminine, it's about the feminine rising so that there is divine union between feminine and masculine energies in all of us, irregardless of your gender or like outside of binary systems or duality, like just the feminine and the masculine together in union, in sacred union, rising, right? Like that energy. And it was just so interesting because we're talking about the female, the female, the female, and then this male energy came in for me so strongly. And honestly, that was a huge awakening moment for me that I've carried with me coming home. Shane and I both just got initiated into this Mary Magdalene course. And so much of the energy is about that masculine and feminine energy coming together. So, like, the rise of the feminine is not about only female energy, it's about the union and the equality, and also the give and take, the reciprocity, the symbiosis between those two energies. So, yeah, for me, that whole temple initiated something in me, which I feel like I already know in a mental way, that the new paradigm and the feminine rising is about the union of the two. But I felt it on like a deeper level. Like my heart just exploded into gratitude for it and into feeling, you know, I have all of these badass, powerful women in my life, all of these sisters that inspire me so much. But it was just the first time that I was looking around at the three first men that have ever come to our retreats, which they are our family members and our husbands. But still, I just had this overwhelming feeling of like, okay, the masculine showed up
Mm.
for this healing, for this journey. And it was super powerful for me.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite um parts of the trip was having men there and
Mm-hmm. And
getting to
our
yeah, and our
guides that were
guides. There was a
men,
lot of male
it was
energy
more,
on this trip.
yeah,
More male
totally.
energy than female because we're in, you know, the country that we're in and the people that were, you know, working and surrounding us were all men. And so, but seeing how the men showed up and weren't afraid to go there, especially the people on our team and our partners and our family, was just a glimpse of like, this is the direction we're moving in. And we
Yeah.
definitely left with a lot of inspiration around future couples retreats and things like that that we want to do because it's just so powerfully important that we're not leaving men behind as we rise. And we've talked about this on a few past podcasts of how there's kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say epidemic, but there's kind of like a thing, a huge, huge shift happening right now where a lot of women are feeling like they've outgrown their spouses and that they are, you know, just on a completely different level energetically and emotionally and spiritually than their partner is. And um, just the, you know, we talk a lot about this in some old episodes about the new paradigm. And I think one of our guests was like Casey Berglund, where we really get into this topic. But it's, and that's why it's so important to really do this work with men, right? And bring that balance.
Mhm.
And the divine masculine really coming in with the divine feminine is so important. It's crazy because I've always thought of Isis as the sexy mama and Hathor as the grandmother
Interesting.
energy. And
Uh-huh.
I know a lot of, you know, people talk about Isis and Mary Magdalene as well. So it's just so crazy
Mhm.
how like the different um symbols and archetypes, how they show up and represent different things in your life at different times. But yeah, I kept seeing these waves of energy just like pulse up and like pulse down, like a strong pulse down, and like waves rippling out into the world. And then we go outside and we go to this area where we get to watch the sunrise and do some movement. And this was led by me. And I, it's
I
crazy
love how you say
because
it like it's almost a third party person. This was led by, oh, me, through
me,
me.
through me, because I was like, okay, what am I going to do as like a dance to worship the sun here and welcome in the sunrise? Because that's typically what was done in this area. And I was like, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to go and feel energy. And like when it's crazy because there's been moments in my life where I really tapped into like working with energy, like Qi Gong. I just started getting into Qi Gong. So this is why it's important, is because I've been like in my own meditative practice. I really do movements where I almost feel like I'm crafting energy around me, like a person who I want to say a clay artist, a pottery person. What are they?
Sculptor?
A sculptor. There we go. Um, like a sculptor.
Like an
And
energy sculptor. Weaving,
exactly.
shaping, moving, creating.
And I've always done that in my own practice and getting ready for retreats and, ceremony or whatever. And then I've done that in ecstatic dance where I get into this state where I almost feel like I can see the energy light in front of me as I'm like playing with it with my hands, and see my own energy in playing with that with my hands. And it's just really cool. But I've never studied Qigong. It's like, I want to say intuitively led Qigong, if you will. And so I just did that with the group, and I kept it really slow and really feeling the energy. And everybody just like kind of followed after me. And some of the movements that I did, right, they're totally just what felt right in the moment. Fast forward to right now, as I'm learning about Qigong, and I come to find out that like 3 of the poses that I was doing are literally like Qigong poses for eternal love, for healing, and welcoming in assistance from the earth, and welcoming in assistance from like the universe. And so I just had this moment like last week where I was like, okay, you can just trust, like collectively, right? Not just the message for me, but collectively, like you can just show up and trust. And like, if you can get out of your own way, right? Like really shedding um, the fucks, I want to say, like really shedding the shame, right? Like no shame, that energy of like, I'm just going to be here and I'm going to have no shame. And I'm really just going to do what moves me, like let the energy around me move me. You don't have to mentally know and understand, like, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D and plot and plan and make sure it all makes sense. Like, things make sense through you. So I guess
Yeah.
that is my collective message that I received in that time, is really just trust. Like, trust, show up and trust. Because
Wow.
even if other people received like, something profound from that moment, I don't think that really matters to me as much as like really seeing like I didn't know these things yet my body did them. And that was just so fascinating. And I did receive a bunch of feedback later that was like, "Oh my god, I loved it. It was amazing." But or like, "How did you know those dance those moves?" Like so many people asked me like, "What like was that a choreographed dance you learned?" I'm like, "No, that was literally just, feeling the energy and moving, and it just felt right." But then to see it later reflected back in this class I'm taking, I'm like, "Okay, I can trust. I
That's
can
so
surrender."
cool. That's so cool. And like when we were all doing that together, I mean, it just felt so good and so right. And that's always an indicator for me, like what you're doing is working. If it feels so good and so right, and you feel more connected, like that it's powerful, that it's valid. You don't need some external system to validate that. But then it is super cool to actually like learn a system and be like, oh, somebody else already came to this. They've been teaching it for thousands of years. And when we talk about these like ancient systems, that human design even has these ancient systems in it that were channeled. And I feel like in our modern day time frame, it's kind of woo-woo and wild to say that a system is channeled, but you experienced literally channeling the energy of Qigong the same way the original people who created it channeled it. Like it is innately human to be able to trust and tap into that flow.
Mm,
And I feel like we're just reawakening to that, but it's not new. It's actually ancient. And
yes.
all of these systems, like I've seen people do that with mudras too, where you're moving your fingers in these different postures and you're in this altered state and you keep doing some movement with your hand and then you Google it and it's literally a mudra that other people have also channeled. And so it is really cool to get that validation, but it's also just so interesting that channeling is actually so innate to us. It's not like this magic thing that is wishy-washy or that we can't trust. Like we are that powerful and we always have been, but we're just
Yeah.
remembering it.
Yeah. And I think that a huge theme at Isis Temple, at least for me and in the ceremony that we did, is releasing shame in
Yeah.
general, like releasing shame of our past, of, not being perfect or not being good enough, or um, of our future selves, even. And really, there's been like some, like, I want to say two core moments in my life that I've had this profound, like, wow, it is powerful to have no shame and to really just go there and release that. And both times I had nerves around it. Like, oh my gosh, like, can I really have no shame? Like, oh, this is going to be a stretch out of my comfort zone. Like, shit, I'm being thrust into this. And this time it felt just like home. Like, it didn't feel those nerves. It didn't feel like this, like, is this okay? Like, fuck, I'm nervous. Like, none of that. It really felt like, of course, why would I have shame? And shedding that collectively, I think we're all going to be moving into in this new paradigm, the no shame era. And yeah, gosh, I think we need to have a podcast, maybe a spiritual sleepover where we talk about our no shame moments, because I have
Ooh,
some
yeah.
good, funny, juicy, insane stories about this. Um that but I think that they happened for such a profound reason in my life to really, I feel like I can do anything and it's not even gonna phase me because of these moments that I've had. But we'll save that for Spirit Sis next week when we record with her.
Oh, I love it. Little Easter egg there for the present. I mean, for the future.
For the future.
Um, okay, so that was Philae, and in general, being there in Aswan, that's where a lot of the granite, right? Is that right? That they came and got from the earth to build a lot of the temples. I feel like just being there with in that root center energy in general, like beyond the Isis temple, the Philae temple, just such a powerful place, like so grounding and really helping us get into that safety. Like the tests were there to help us settle in and integrate things and just be where you are. I felt like that was a really beautiful
Yeah.
and powerful part of our journey. And we got to be at the old cataract while we were integrating all of that stuff and getting into that realm, which I also felt like was really supportive. And it was super freaking hot, like you said in the beginning, which is amazing that we were there with a pool and able to be inside when we needed to in the hottest part of the day to integrate. And then after that, do you want to talk about going to the Sphinx?
Yes.
Is that the next one that we should dive into?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, talking about the granite, and I think that people don't realize, or maybe they do, but how sacred Egypt is because of the granite and the all of the temples, every single one you will see on the floor at the entrance of the temple or at any other entrance throughout the temple that's leading into a sacred space of any kind, has a huge granite slab, like doormat that's like, the doorstep into
gigantic.
Yeah.
It's
Gigantic
like
doormat.
12 feet by 10 feet wide.
Yeah, huge, leading into any temple, any sacred space within that temple. And I was asking our guide, like, what is this why this specific granite at every single temple all throughout Egypt on every single entry point? And he said it's to balance your energies and before you enter that space. And some spaces would have it like, here's a granite slab, and then 5 feet from there is another one that you're walking over before you enter the Holy of Holies, for example. And so you're receiving these activations through these energetic stones that are literally just walking through the temple, whether you do ceremony or not. You're being activated and balanced, and you feel it. So it's really cool to just get to like, feel that energy shift as you move through these spaces. And one of those spaces obviously is the Sphinx. So we went to the Sphinx really early in the morning, and just want to say we flew from Aswan to Cairo to then have our Sphinx and pyramid closing up the end of this trip. And just arriving in Cairo and seeing the pyramids, I said this on the last podcast, and everybody who came was like, "Holy shit, you were absolutely right." It is this buzzing electricity in the air where you almost feel giddy or hyper.
Yeah.
And when we first got there, we all like jumped over our balconies, ran in the grass barefoot. Like the pyramids are right there, and we just laid in the grass. We danced. We like just laughed and literally like hyper children. And and then like talked a million miles a minute. And literally that's what happened to me last time. And it was so cool to see everybody being affected by these pyramids in this way that's like this you feel the energy. It's so intense.
And I was asking a lot of people, that was one of my favorite moments of the whole trip, by the way, all of us just laying on the grass, like barefoot, doing cartwheels and dancing and laughing.
Everybody asking me to do ballet, which I haven't done in a million years.
Because you had just done your amazing dance movement, Qi Gong, and everyone's like, okay, Shayna's a dancer, which secretly she is.
But I'm not.
I know this.
I'm not.
No, you did ballet for like years of your life, of your formative years.
She's gone. She's gone.
Well, she only gone a little bit. She's still here too. But feeling that energy of the temples, even from afar, it's so true. Like I felt this absolute just buzzing and energy. And I was asking other people, like, where do you feel this in your body? It was so cool to hear everyone's experience. A lot of people felt it like in their heart, or, in their heart space, kind of buzzing and vibrating up and illuminating their spine. A lot of people said that they felt it like energy tingling from their spine, but then coming out through their heart. But we all literally could feel the sensation of energized activation, elevated, supercharged almost. And like you were saying, really laughy, giddy, like playful, elevated kind of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we woke up the next morning and we go for our early morning visit to the Sphinx. And the Sphinx feels ancient.
Ancient. That's what I was going to say. Ancient, ancient, ancient. Like it felt to me like the oldest thing that we had connected with thus far on this trip. And the Sphinx is near the pyramid, for those that don't know. So it's like kind of all in the same area. It was really interesting to me. The Sphinx had its own energy frequency so clearly. That was so ancient. The pyramids also felt really ancient, but the Sphinx to me felt a lot older.
Yeah.
In a different way. And the Sphinx had a very, in my opinion, like very balanced between masculine and feminine, I felt, but still ultimately like a very feminine presence, or like a very like wisdom codes forward instead of like energy activation. Like the pyramids felt very electric to me. The Sphinx felt much more like wisdom kind of codes. And Jared, he had a few really cool intuitive moments on the trip that I was here for, which he has gate 57 in his cross of incarnation. And I'm always like surprised by the things that come out of him, and it's so natural and effortless for him. But we just walked up to the Sphinx, and before we even got there, he turned around and he said, "There's another one of these, but it's not on Earth. It's on Sirius B on a different dimension, and they're interlinked and interconnected." And then we get down there, and you see the inscriptions like on the stone where there's the two, but no one knows where. Our guide was telling us that no one knows where the other one is, and I just looked at him with my mouth open, and he was like,
That is insane. It's insane because I like for him to say that before the guide,
walking down
like,
the plank.
wow. Because yeah, there's this tablet, this massive tablet in between the paws of the Sphinx, and it has these amazing inscriptions on it, and it shows two Sphinx, and
Like
so
facing each other, connected.
connected. And our guide was saying, so there's probably another Sphinx somewhere in Egypt, but we just haven't discovered it yet. And I was thinking, like, it's not like it's somewhere, but like
It's
they're
somewhere, or like
communicating.
on another dimension, or maybe it's here, but on a different dimension where it's not in our physical reality.
Yeah. And so that I 100% agree with
Yeah.
what Jared channeled. That intuitive hit that he had, because it does feel, the energy there feels that ancient, like truly,
Yeah.
like, and also intergalactic.
Yeah, like
Like
very
it does.
Stargate portal, like a
Yes.
Stargate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
at the Sphinx, we, our guide shared with us that it's a place of the original Akashic records and a place where wisdom and um, knowledge is stored and can be accessed. And so we had Megan in our group, one of our dear friends who came. She's a manifester and she reads the Akashic records. We had her open the Akashic records. It was so beautiful and so powerful. And I felt like such a gift for us all to get to hear insight and wisdom and answers for our group and from the Sphinx itself. And honestly, like that moment was just such a beautiful and inspire the meditation we did, being all
mm,
together in the pause of the Sphinx. I just felt like so completely held. And like, even though we were able to hear so many amazing answers, because we literally were able to ask questions as a group and then receive answers channeled from the Akashic Records by Megan. But even though we were getting so many answers, I also had this just safe feeling in between the pause, like everything that you need to know, you get to know somewhere inside of you, you already have access to. And it felt so grounding to me. Like there's on some level internally at the highest point, there's nothing that we can't know, or there's nothing that we need to know that we can't access. Like it was just this like divine sense of knowing that felt so safe. I'm curious, how did you feel in the Sphinx of the pause?
no, I felt
The pause
every
of the
the
Sphinx.
exact, the Sphinx of the pause. I felt the exact same way.
Yeah,
Truly. Um, and just felt like such an honor to get to be there
yeah.
and to get to sit with such reverence and stillness and presence, truly, just
Mhm.
true presence. And yeah, I just felt so, so grateful because, and especially when if you visit the Sphinx normally in regular hours, like you're standing, you don't even get to go down to the Sphinx. Like you're just
Yeah,
standing at this observation area and
right.
you're observing it from so far away. So to get to go and sit there was so special. And so yeah, it was really beautiful. I walked around the Sphinx. All of us got some time to walk around the Sphinx, and I walked with Isla, and then I got to nurse her underneath the paws of this, or underneath the Sphinx, in between the paws of the Sphinx, with like the altar stone at my back, and it was another moment that I'll never forget the rest of my life. It was just so beautiful and starseed vibes, right? Like feeding her
Mhm.
in Hathor's temple was like mother's milk, like I don't even know, like planting seeds for the future vibes. And
Mhm.
feeding her at the Sphinx was like connecting with our star family
Mm.
energy. And yeah, so that was the Sphinx. Amazing. So
Yeah.
amazing.
So
And
amazing.
and
Yeah.
then later that day, every day felt like 4 days, like we talked about in the first episode.
Yeah.
And so later that day, we went to Sakkara. And this is where we went underground, like 60 feet underground, I think it is, or meters. I don't know. There's a big difference in those numbers, but 60 something. I'm assuming meters because we were in Egypt. But we go underground and we don't bring Isla for this, and this is where the sound chambers are. So do you want to talk about that, because you're the sound queen? I'm so curious to hear what your experience was there.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty claustrophobic historically. I've healed a lot of that from breath work, like 90%. But going down into that chamber, like on this tight little spiral staircase that went down, down, down for what seemed like forever, and having never been there, and I was leading the whole group going down there, just going down under the earth that far in such a small tunnel felt like an initiation to me so much. And it also felt like such a special place that was really off the beaten path. Like, I don't think that many people get to visit there. So the energy felt very pure to me, still really like sacred. And like, there wasn't that energy, in the places that we went that had a lot of tourism, people coming in and out. Like, this place just felt like almost like preserved in time to me. And getting to be in these chambers that are perfectly acoustic was literally one of the highlights of my entire life forever. Getting to sing together and hearing the natural acoustics, that's actually been something that when I was down there, I was just like, I never want to sing into a microphone again for the rest of my life. I always want to be in a natural acoustic chamber that is untampering the frequency of our
Mm.
natural voice without adding any electricity, without adding any, because the power of our voices in this beautiful acoustic space literally opened up an angel portal in
Mm.
my heart that freaking healed me. And also, we were singing once again, like prayers for humanity. And I just felt like every person's voice in there was so beautiful and so healing. And then we went into this second chamber where each person went on their own and they lay down in this, like, I don't know, is it a sarcophagus? But you're laying down in this like shape of a
I
human's body.
Definitely not a sarcophagus, but a like a healing chamber, like literally carved
Uh,
as the shape of a human body, like not for burial,
it
but
looks,
for
but it
healing.
looks like that. So
Yeah, it does.
even just getting in it is like an initiation. I felt
Yeah,
really
I
powerful,
agree.
person by person, laying down in there and saying, okay, I'm willing to be in this space. And then singing, there's this giant like granite, um huge massive rock that how anyone could ever move at all, let alone get down in that tunnel so deep into the earth, is literally the most mysterious thing I've ever seen. It's implausible. There's no way that that didn't happen without some type of magic or something that we don't understand, because it was insane. And the hieroglyphics in there were so beautiful. And then singing, your whole voice was echoed back into your head and into your ears so strongly that I almost felt like your body became like a freaking spaceship and was like elevating, and all the cells in your body are like regenerating. It was so powerful. But for a lot of people that came in, singing alone in that space and letting their own voice heal them, I mean, I think it's extremely vulnerable to use our voices because it's like our unique frequency, the same as our unique blueprint, the same as our unique energetic, signature with our human design. But it's like very exposing to
Yeah.
just sing on your own and to be heard in your unique frequency. And it also, in that space, the way that it is designed acoustically, your own voice literally can heal your body. Your own voice can literally activate all of the cells in your body to reawaken and recalibrate to their natural state. And that's what I felt in that space. Like, it was so special.
Yeah, I agree. And this was another time where we were doing ceremony, and where we both dropped into the same like understanding of the energetics going on and what was needed. And we both to start the ceremony, we would with the person like 3 times to get them, warmed up of like using their voice on their own. And there was these 2 stones like on this massive block that's over this chamber where you're laying down. There's like these 2 points that kind of like flat square points that stick out. And we would both stand there like with our back to these points, like our chest right there, and for the oming part. And when we ohmed, standing in those exact places, the way that the acoustics worked, I literally couldn't tell the difference between my voice or your voice. Like I could feel your voice vibrating in my body as much as I could feel my voice vibrating out of my throat. Like, and it sounded like one person was
Mm-hmm.
making this ohm from where we were standing. And I just had this knowing of like, this is right. Like this is right. And this
Uh-huh.
is a technology and an
Yeah.
instrument. And we are
Mm-hmm.
part of this instrument, like so crazy. And then we both had the feeling of like, we need to step out so that way our bodies are not filtering or their voice that's healing their own body isn't getting filtered by our bodies standing in the way of the acoustics of this chamber and how it was made. So we would step out into this little tunnel and we would like squat in there while they would sing and have that alone time.
Wearing a long white dress, and I was just in this underground cave, in the tunnel, in the dirt, like Tomb Raider style, but wearing a long white flowing dress. Like,
Yes.
welcome to Egypt. And honestly, it felt so good.
It felt so good.
Crawling
It felt
around in
so good.
there, hearing people's voices. That was such a special experience.
Yeah, and I feel like I get a lot out of doing things on my own, like when I'm connecting with anything, any energy in general. Like I really enjoy, walking through the temples by myself, or in past trips, like I like to just go have a moment out in the nature, out at the viewpoint or whatever it is, like just take a moment to myself there to really connect. And so the last time that I went to Egypt, I really felt myself feeling like I wish I could just be in here by myself for just a moment to just sing and be here. And so that's why, I mean, that's another reason why it was like, okay, you have alone time for a minute, minute and a half, because we gotta go. But I felt like when I got to do my turn, I felt so healing and just amazed at the technology, a
Yeah.
different technology than we have developed in our modern times. That same day, like at the same location, was the Serapeum that we visited. And that is literally the most mind blowing thing I've ever experienced. I did not go there last time. And this was something that my husband was like, I really want to go to. If we can have time to do this, I want to do it. So we decided, like, last minute, let's go do this for the whole group. And this is straight up like ancient airport vibes, right?
Stargate Airport.
Stargate Airport,
And like
100%.
interdimensional airport.
Yeah. They're these huge, if you don't know what this is, look it up online, like Serapeum and Sakkara. It's underground, underneath, I think it's limestone. And they're these huge, they say coffins, I put in quotes, but these huge, like square, whatever,
Granite, like, yeah,
made
giant,
out
like
of thick, thick granite.
they are
And
so massive that if you do look up pictures, it's hard to get an awareness of how big they really are. Like they
yeah,
take up an entire like bedroom in your house.
more than that. Like you
Yeah,
have a
a
big ass
big
bedroom.
bedroom.
Like they are huge and they're so thick, and they're, they're polished on the inside, but not on the outside. They have these lids that look like they were pushed ajar from the inside, and the lids are huge, and these things are so massively heavy. It doesn't even make sense how they would even fit in there because the stone isn't from that like region. And also there's no way to even like get it through the tunnels of this space. And I think they were telling us that at one point somebody in France or somewhere, it's always France, like
Yeah,
wanted
it is.
it is wanted one of these things and it would fit through the halls. And they took 100 men for, I think it was a year, and they tried to get it out to like bring it all the way to France, and they only got it 30 feet in 1 year, 100 men. And then they gave up because it was like, obviously this wasn't going to work. And so it's just crazy, but it definitely gives the vibes of like, you lay in here, maybe like a bunch of people lay in here, or maybe a giant lays in here. Who knows? But you lay in here, close the lid, you are like sensory deprivation tank status, and then you just like beam me up to another location.
I think using
Airport.
sound or energy or something inside of those rocks, and then the rocks themselves being granite and having so much crystal in them, are like conductors and
Yeah.
all of that. But I mean, what's clear about these amazing places in Egypt that are just miraculous is that it's clear that we don't know how they did it.
At all.
That much is clear, right? So everything else is a mystery. Like we don't know how they did it, but we know that we don't know. And for me, that in and of itself is really powerful. We know that we don't know. However they did this, we don't currently have that awareness. We don't currently have the vibration to like the frequency high enough to understand how they did it. Maybe we don't have access to even like technologies or worldviews or whatever, but the only thing that it indicates to me is that we don't know fucking shit. And that
Yeah.
at whatever point when this was created, they just clearly had different tools or resources or a frequency or an understanding different than
Yeah.
what we have now. And so when you're in there, the fact that this could be from a time where awareness and frequency was so different and so much higher than we are currently, but that the physicality is still here, that was what was crazy to me, because something that is happening on like a higher dimension or such a higher frequency, like it would just be gone or invisible from us at the dimension or frequency that we're at now. But the thing about Egypt is that there are these like immortalized almost physical spaces that have been created from that higher state or from that higher knowing or from that higher frequency that are still here for us to interact with. Like that juxtaposition was something that was really hard to wrap your head around. And in fact, we can't wrap our head around it because the leading
Yeah.
scientists don't even know how it's built. So what's cool is that a better way to connect, a better way to use these sacred spaces is just to connect with it and to feel the frequency. And even just like being in that space, I felt elevated you so
Yeah.
much, just connecting
Totally.
with the energy. And even though it was very mysterious and your head doesn't fully know what to think of what this space is, your body and your energy, I felt like it felt so elevated and electric and mystical inside of there.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was one of my favorite things that we did. I said that like 500 times because every single moment of this trip was like that. Like
Yeah.
mind
And
blowing.
the fact that that's like in the same day that we went to the Sphinx is
Yeah.
crazy because those seem like completely different
Totally.
universes.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool about Egypt, right? Like there's so many amazing places to visit on earth, and I'm definitely not taking away from them, but Egypt is one of those places where, you could be going and learning or experiencing or studying your whole entire life, and you're still going to be in awe and wonder and getting activations, getting a different experience, different information. So I've been now twice, and I'm already like, all right, when are we going
When are we coming back?
again?
Yeah, for me, it was like every single time we left a sacred space or a sacred site, the moment that we were leaving, I just felt like I can't leave right now. Like I just have to come back. I can't,
Yeah.
like, when am I coming back? I can't wait to come back. Like, I have to do this whole thing over again, have a whole nother retreat, have a whole nother trip just to come back and be in these spaces because
Yeah.
that's how magnetized I felt to them.
Yeah. So stay tuned for those details. 'Cause I'm already feeling like, okay, I think I know exactly when it's gonna be, and it's gonna be fucking mind blowing. Um, but I need to just look at a few more dates and transits and all the things because yeah, there's just a lot, but I won't get into that spiral. Um, so then the last day we go to the pyramid, and that's once again super, super early morning visit. And I almost
Yeah.
want to hear your experience first
No,
because
I wanna hear yours first. I'm dying to hear what you felt in
what?
there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So everyone listening who's listened to the past Egypt episode, not part one of this, but like before when I went to Egypt, I
Oh,
had a
yeah.
really insane experience in the pyramid
Right.
and really visual, like walked through my whole life. I definitely agree still that the pyramid is an instrument. Like it is a
Mm.
technology. It is a device or an instrument. Like it is not like
Or,
the Sphinx is like, ancient wisdom intergalactic communication device, maybe. Whereas the pyramid feels like uh yeah, an instrument that's doing something. I don't know what exactly, but working with consciousness,
yeah.
I feel, but maybe I don't know anything at all. Like literally I don't know anything. Um in general. But yeah, so going into the Great Pyramid, we told everyone beforehand, really be conscious of every single thought you have because it is going to be amplified in this space. And so all of us, I think, really did that, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool. And that's my favorite thing about getting to lead these retreats is that we attract our people. Like we attract
I
dive-in
was gonna
bitches.
say some down ass bitches, some dive
Yes.
in bitches.
We really
Mm.
do, and I love every single person that is on our frequency and, is willing to just, go there and just show up and no ego, right? I really feel like we attract people with no ego, and it's so
Mhm.
amazing to get to be in that space with everyone. So all going in so intentionally, really watching our thoughts, and when I had my first experience in the pyramid, like I walked through my whole life coming up from the subterranean and into giving birth, having a baby, and then moving forward in my life. And now here I am with my baby entering the
The next
the Great
time.
Pyramid the
Yeah,
next
that is
time.
wild.
And she's like strapped to my chest and in the baby carrier, but I forgot how steep and crammed even just going to the king's chamber is. Like you have to go up this tunnel that's like really steep. It has
Yeah,
tiny little metal
slats.
slats for you to like get some friction off of. Like they're not steps. They're just like little bars that are placed there. And as I get started, I'm wearing a dress like a fucking idiot.
And,
I'm
like, a
wearing
long dress that you're
sandals. Like, and I have my baby strapped to my chest, and I'm thinking, like, why the fuck didn't I wear pants and tennis shoes? Like, what is wrong with me? I've been here before, and I completely forgot this. Like, forgot that I was like, I'm just going to the King's Chamber this time. I'm not going down the subterranean. Like, it's gonna be a breeze. No, it is hard just getting to the King's Chamber, especially if you have a baby strapped to your chest and you're wearing a dress and sandals. So
But pretty much anytime, actually, no matter who you are, no matter what you're wearing on any day of the given week, it's hard.
yes, it was only like the people that in our group that like work out every day and like do 14ers. That's a thing. You said that to me once.
Climb 14ers. 14,000 foot mountains. You
Oh
better
yeah,
say that
yeah.
like it's a workout. No, yeah, if people climb
Yeah,
14ers, then they could do it. No
yeah,
problem.
exactly. It was only those people from our group who were like, this isn't that hard at all. Like you really made it seem like it was hard, but it was so easy. And I'm like, okay. Um
That's funny.
so I go up this tunnel and I have her on my chest and I'm like, am I going to slip and literally crush her under my body? Like, am I going to like, I don't know. And I had to be like, no, watch my thoughts. Like
Oh, yep.
literally, I am here. I am safe. And Chrissy was in front of me, my sister-in-law, and she said, she channeled this message
Oh,
right when I needed to
yeah.
hear it.
Same.
And now I forgot it.
Strong body, open heart. Wait, there was one more.
Clear mind?
Clear mind.
Was it
Clear
clear
mind,
mind?
strong body, open
Open
heart.
heart. clear mind, strong body, open heart. Yes. And so once she said those words to me, I was repeating them in my head the whole time, every
Well,
step.
she kind of just said them to herself. She just
She
said them out
did.
loud, but I heard her too. I was a few people back and I was like, yep, I needed to hear that.
Yes. Yeah, she was saying it to herself because it was challenging. And
Yeah.
I'm here with my baby. And there was a few times on this trip, side note, that I had Isla strapped to me and I just felt like mama, like mama. And like felt like so good, like not that hard. That was when we walked the mile of the Avenue of the Sphinx, and half of our group was like, "Am I going to get heat stroke and die?" But we walked it in silence, so we didn't know they were struggling. Um, then when we got to Luxor, they were
Then
like,
once
"I
we
need
could talk
water. I
again.
need." I ran out of, like it's so hot. I'm so tired. That was such a long walk. I'm like, I was so blissed out. I had Isla strapped to me, walked the whole mile, and everyone was asking me like, "Are you okay? Are you just sweating? Like, how was it with Isla? Do you need me to
Felt
hold
so
her?"
strong.
I felt so fine. I was like, "No, I'm good.
You,
I got it."
well,
Felt
you
so
heard like
strong.
warrior strength in that moment.
Yeah, and not from a physical place, like straight from a spirit place, like spirit
Spiritual.
warrior. Cause like
Yeah.
I don't work out. Um like I do, but I don't work out regularly, right? I'm not like somebody who claims to be strong physically
Yeah.
in that sense, you know? So it's coming from like an inner fire. And I felt that same sense of inner fire bringing her up through the
Yeah.
tiny passageways into the Great Pyramid. So being there with her was, uh, it wasn't a full circle moment. It was a like next dot on my
New level.
yeah. Yeah. Like it was like, I'm going to
Like
come back to Egypt many times. And this was like the next,
key
moment
change.
in the circle. Yeah. But the circle will come full circle around at some point, but it was like the next little thing.
Got it. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, next chapter, there we go. Um, so then got to the king's chamber and she's just crawling around in there and it's hot AF in the king's
Yeah.
chamber, which
It was so hot.
is surprising because I would think that when it's super hot outside, that when you go into like the stone or underground or into the temples, that it would be cooler because of the stone, and that's not the case at any of the temples that we visited. It's the opposite. So it was really hot, but you could feel the energy in that space so intensely. Got to tone, and we all did our circle, like our opening ceremony, and then the people who wanted to go down to the subterranean went down, and then I stayed up there to just like be saying prayers, singing. Everyone up there who wanted to got to go lay in the sarcophagus and tone and sing. And when I sang in Sakkara and when I sang in the Great Pyramid, I sang once again some of Dana's songs and then kind of like weaved together whatever I wanted. And my intention was all about like, my body is healed. Like, my body is healed. My body is healed. Like, I am home in my body. My body is healing. And for those who don't know, I've really struggled with postpartum depression since having Isla and feeling like I'm not feeling so much in my body. And there's been just a lot of challenges with becoming a mom that I've shared on other episodes that I won't get into here. But my intention, with using my voice to heal my body was just so clear, right? And so I felt it in that moment. And fast forward, get out of, toning and get out of the Great Pyramid, like move on throughout our journey. And I even shared this with you, Dana, like when we were headed to the Grand Egyptian Museum, I had this moment of like in my body feeling like excitement. And that sounds like bad, like I wasn't excited throughout this whole trip or whatever. I absolutely was, but a lot of my emotions since having a baby have been like in my mind, like this makes sense. I'm happy mentally. Like, I want to do this. My authority is clear, but like the body sensation of excitement or happiness, like those butterflies or those, or even sadness, like the body sensation of like a punch to the gut or like your heart breaking, like those body sensations I've really been have not experiencing with my postpartum depression. So I had like, as we were going to the Grand Egyptian Museum, I had these butterflies enter my body and I was like, and I instantly started crying because it was just this, and, you know, I'm just by myself and I'm just having this moment of like, wow, I felt something. And which sounds fucked up, but I did, and I felt it in my body. And, you know, ever since I've gotten back from Egypt, literally my postpartum depression's been gone. Like I still have steamer, which I've shared about when I breastfeed, but I don't have like I am giddy. I'm like childlike. I have all these ideas and all of these things that I want to do. And yes, maybe that's because of the transits, but also there's just been a significant shift in my body and healing from the toning that I did in the Great Pyramid and coming back in this next era of my life of like, okay, I had my baby is here. I'm stepping into my mama era and um my mother's milk era, and my body's healed, and now like I'm feeling things again in my body. So Egypt definitely cracked me into a whole new timeline. I keep saying, like, literally I feel like I'm just in a new era, a new timeline from this journey, from this initiation, these activations that we received. So that was my main takeaway, like, I guess wrapping up the pyramid for me. But now I'm just curious what your experience was.
Well, it's really interesting because, like, I don't feel like I have any past life experience with the pyramids. I didn't feel like I had any intense, like, body sensations or, like, for example, in Sakkara, which I didn't even share this, but in Sakkara, I had, like, a super powerful visualization of seeing this, like, blue orb with me, and that's really uncommon for me, so it's, like, so special. And, like, another example, when we're at the Sphinx, I was literally hearing messages, like, clairaudience in my head, like, these really heightened intuitive moments, and in the pyramid, I didn't have any of that. So it's really interesting how like different places connect with different people or awaken different things in different people. And so for me, I felt a lot more energy from the pyramid from the outside, actually. And then once we were inside of it, I felt a very clear feeling like humans are not really supposed to be walking in these channels. These channels are not meant for people walking in them. These tunnels, they're meant for energy or sound or light or electricity. I felt that super clearly.
Yeah.
So, as mysterious and amazing and grand as they are, I felt like this isn't a place for people on the inside. It's a place for like energy and sound and things like that. Even though there is the king's chamber and the queen's chamber and the king's sarcophagus, I feel that those things were added in or named that later on when
Oh,
people
for
kind of
sure.
rediscovered or found the pyramids. And so it's different than the original intention of what it was.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely I felt like it was so I could just feel this like ancient energy, ancient technology. That was a big thing that I felt versus like gods and goddesses that feel so human in characteristics or that even spark a aspect of the divine within yourself that feels a lot more personalized or personal. I felt like the energy in the temple was just like purely like energetic, like a machine. So that was one of the big takeaways for me.
Yes.
Secondarily, I also felt, you know, we talked about, like Shayna was saying, everyone being super mindful of the intentions and words that you spoke and that you felt going in there. And once we got in and I was seeing how small and challenging the tunnels were to walk, I also felt like I was in mama mode, warrior mode, but like for our group. So that was really like my main intention the whole time was just keeping like a super clear focus of like protected energy and strength and openness to all vulnerability and all challenge that comes up, but also like super grounded, just frequency of love and like soothing. So I feel like I was in almost like an altered state the whole time that we were in there, like keeping that frequency and holding that frequency for ourselves as a group. And anytime someone around me would be like, this is really hard, what if I can't make it? Or like things like that, I would literally shapeshift, clear the energy and help remind them to be really aware of their intentions. Because I did feel like once we went, so I went with a group that went down to the subterranean and all the people that were going down in that way. And I thought that it actually down at the bottom there, I felt like it felt super grounding, so grounding down below, like um ancient and
Interesting.
earthy, like the foundation or the base, like, but that metaphoric energy. And then when we came back up into the top, into the queen's chamber, and then higher above the king's chamber, I felt literally like, you know, if you're thinking about a pyramid as a shape geometrically, or like how people make orgone instruments out of, it's just literally a pyramid with like metal and stuff. I was feeling all of that. Like at the base was the 4 points and stability, and at the top was like a singular laser focus beaming out or amplifying all of the energy that happened. But when we were at the bottom, it felt very like stabilized. And when we were at the top, it felt like a laser rocket energy shooting up. And so
Yeah.
whatever was said or spoken or done at that top point was specifically where it was like shooting up like a rocket kind of energy. So with having that, but for me, it's just so interesting. All of these things that I was feeling were very frequency oriented instead of a lot of the other places. I felt so emotional and human and like connection to God and love. And in this place, I just felt like pure energy and
Mm.
energetics. And then the prayers that we were saying, the loving connection we were sharing in our group, like thanking one another for each other's presence in our lives, that's the frequency that we were amplifying like a
Yes.
laser. I mean, it was just so powerful for me. And once again, singing in that space, hearing
Oh,
my voice, hearing everyone's voice, singing prayers for healing and for the world. And like, I just felt like getting to use that opportunity of such a powerful machine that is directing and blasting out this energy to use that intentionally for weaving in love and healing and gratitude and wholeness and
for
unity. I just
all
felt like
beings.
for all beings, for everyone in our group, and then promoting that out for all beings. Like I
Yes.
just felt like it was such a profound opportunity. So while I didn't have a lot of like crazy intuitive like pings or like things that surprise me or past life memories like I did in other temples, I definitely felt like it was the perfect final point of our journey because it was like everything that we had experienced, all of the love and connection that we had created, and all of our own healing journeys, we were then able to blast out with such clarity of intention out into the world.
Yes. Us singing in the Great Pyramid was incredible. Like
Like
truly
so
so
beautiful, so
beautiful,
special.
so sacred, and
Yeah.
so such a gift um to my own life, but also to the world, I felt. And it was really cool to hear um at each of the temples there's, a guard there that is overseeing and making sure, we're not doing anything crazy or, whatever. And the guide that was there, the guard that was there, he shared with our guide Mo that he was so moved by our prayers and our ceremony that if we ever come back to Egypt, he requested to be there because he's seen thousands of private visits and he's never really enjoyed them. And but this one he thoroughly enjoyed and it moved him to tears and he like wanted to participate in our ceremony. And so Mo just kept telling me later, like he wants to be included or like he wants to be the person there every time that we come. I'm like, okay. And it just felt like such I don't know, a reflection of the intentions that we had and the inclusivity that we share and the heart that we have behind everything that we create and every person that we bring along or include in our journey. And I just need to say the Egyptian people are incredible, like truly so incredible. Literally
Warm.
will give you the shirt off their back. Like
Yeah.
we were reflecting on this. Megan, she had commented to this guy on our logistics team, Peter, who we all loved, that she loved his shirt and asked where he got it from. And he's like, "Do you want it?" And she was like, "Yeah." Like she meant like she wants to like buy it or like go find the same one somewhere. And later he brought her his shirt, like worn shirt that he wore through through the pyramids. He's like, "You'll have to wash it." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, like that's crazy." And I was sharing this with my husband Brian, and he said, "Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, the last time we were there, I had said to Mo, our guide at the last time, that I loved his shirt and asked where he got it, and he was like, "Do you want this one? I'll give it to you." Like literally give you the shirt off my back kind of energy. And that is the energy that we felt with every single person that welcomed us into their home, with the farmers that we visited on, on the islands, and the energy of, the mothers and fathers and, uncles and aunts that we saw throughout the airport or in every store. Like literally everyone wanted to hold Isla. Everybody wanted to give her little gifts. She got little gifts everywhere that she went for free. People who have
Yes.
so much less money and resources and opportunity than us were giving us gifts just because they loved life, like loved our baby life that was there. And wanting to dance and sing with her and connect with her. So it was really beautiful. And of course, there's always polarities, right? There's always cultural differences and things that stretch you out of your comfort zone. I'm not saying that every single person in Egypt is amazing, will give you the shirt off their back, just like literally no one in the US would give you the shirt off their back. um, but I'm saying that in our experience, that while yes, it was very curated, we did have the opportunity to meet with many different people throughout this experience, and they are incredible. So I'm grateful that we've gotten to learn from these ancient sites that were tended to by ancient beings, or throughout the thousands of years, so many different cultures and uh teachings and what's the word I want to use, like beliefs about these temples and what they were meant for. And I'm also grateful for the people who are stewarding these places now. While there might be a lot of rules, there might be a lot of patriarchy, there might be a lot of um confusion or misunderstanding or control or whatever, I'm still very grateful for the opportunity to be able to connect and learn and share and spread just a little bit of love, inclusion, freedom, connection as little seeds that we plant everywhere we go. And that was a huge intention with this retreat, was to weave codes of healing, freedom, love, unity, connection. And we saw that reflected back in our experience. So I'm excited for the next one that we do. I'm really yeah, there's so many things bubbling now after this retreat. We are working on our Golden Purpose course, which if you remember when we went to Mexico, we taught about the gene keys, we taught about the godheads, we taught about your purpose and the deeper layers, and with the promise of releasing that as a course online eventually. We're going to be launching that soon, and we are deep in the throes of working on that. And we're feeling extra inspired because in Egypt, like I said, in our workbooks, we included all of the gene keys, and we get to see how incredibly powerful it is when you get to learn about yourself in this way and feel it in your body. So we're excited to do that and to share all of that information with you.
Yeah, and something that's so cool about the gene keys specifically, like the way that Richard Rudd broke them down into the shadow, the gift, and then the city, or like the divine expression, is that it makes having such a clear version of those three things, it makes it really easy to contemplate and to recognize where those things are within yourself. And the way that you work with the three is actually always embracing your shadow first and foremost. It's like being okay knowing that this quality is always going to have a shadow. And that's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're broken. It's because it's one of the facets of what is. And then through moving through that shadow, you come into the gift, and then ultimately the city, or the divine expression. So we were looking through all of these things in Egypt, and you better believe that we were getting triggered through our shadows. We were noticing those things come up as we were going on initiations. We were also seeing everyone share their gifts with one another. That community aspect of this trip was honestly one of the most incredible aspects, was just the individuals who are here that are such brilliant, amazing, beautiful people that are self-aware and that are always wanting to gain more self-awareness, and to see them share their gifts with one another, the part of this energy within themselves that can be given externally to other people for other people to receive, like seeing that in real time, and what a magical group it turns into when people are aware of healing their shadows and aware of sharing their gifts with one another. I mean, that part of it was just so inspiring. And then lastly, with the city expression, or the divine expression, for me, being in these temples, these places that had such powerful ancient wisdom codes, had such powerful energetics that were very finely attuned and crafted, being in those spaces and dropping into ceremony together, and being in these timeless like portals, going back and reading my city expressions of my gates, or my gene keys in my chart, I could really see the way that the divine expresses itself through us, and the way that we are channels for something bigger. And just working with those different energetics, it just felt so inspiring to me. So I'm really excited to be sharing that in more depth. And if you're listening to this and you're wanting to know more about your life purpose or your cross of incarnation, then you are like most of our community. Like literally most people say, okay, I've really worked with my strategy and authority. I want to know more about my purpose deeper than my cross of incarnation. And that's where this Golden Purpose Retreat online course will really walk you through the energetics of all of your gates, of the gates specifically that make up your cross of incarnation, but other gates as well. And it helps you piece it together in such a more detailed way. It is literally game changer. And so if you have been learning a lot about human design, but you're just ready for something deeper that's going to bring you down into these deeper levels, I really feel like this course could be for you. And coming home from Egypt, I just feel like my big feeling, I mean, I feel like everyone who came home from this retreat, you feel like it's like life pre-Egypt retreat and life post-Egypt retreat. They're two
Yes.
different, they're like, it's like a clear, definitive new world. And for
Yes.
me coming home, part of it was just the realization of how much we are in the changing of the keys of the new paradigm. Like we really are seeing it speeding up on such a fast level. And I just feel like this is a really crucial time to be empowering ourselves and going deeper in the realm of knowledge, in the realm of wisdom, in the realm of self-awareness. Like it's just go time. And as things speed up, it might feel like we have a lot to do on the physical plane, or a lot to catch up on. And we do, but none of that is going to unfold in the highest expression if we're not taking the time to go deeper within ourselves, into our shadows, sharing our gifts, and connecting with the divine channeled expression that's wanting to come through us. Like we really need to be knowing ourselves on all of those different levels, with so much awareness, in order to build the things that are truly going to help the world, and that are the most real, the most authentic, right? We're not hiding from our shadow. We're not withholding our gifts, and we're not discrediting our ability to channel the divine through us. Like
Mm.
in this trip, all three of those things just felt so prevalent that they must weave in together in order for us to really be fully grounded, and also enlivened and like uplifted as we create the new paradigm. So I think for
Yes.
me, yeah, that Phoenix energy is coming in hot, and we're just really feeling super excited because we just feel that things are speeding up and the time is right now to be doing the work together, to be showing up, to be continuing doing courses and lectures and things like that are going to really support people. But also, yeah, we're feeling like, when is our next retreat? We have like 10 retreats inspired in the making coming off from this one, because we just feel that it's such a powerful, elevating moment that can help us jump, like quantum jump into the next level. And we're going to need to be quantum jumping with the world moving this quickly as we accelerate towards the new paradigm shift.
Yes, absolutely. And something that I feel really grateful for and also inspired around is I'm learning so many things right now. I'm just like I'm diving into courses like crazy. I just want to learn about Qi Gong, like I mentioned, but also I'm taking an AI course. I'm also taking a Mary Magdalene course. I'm also taking a manifestation course and a Kabbalah course. Like I am just so lit up with learning. But one through thread that excites me for um why human design or the gene keys are so important is because there's all of this new information coming out, but how does it apply to you as an individual? Like getting not only to learn a system or a energetic upgrade or new information, but also getting to learn about you as a unique individual. Like, how does this apply to you? What is your unique purpose? What are your unique shadows and hiccups? Getting that information is honestly invaluable. And then getting to pair that with these other things that people are sharing and teaching or channeling or whatever that are also incredible, but it's almost like falls short if you don't know who you are, like, and the details of that. So I feel excited about that. I feel excited to pair everything together and create something that is holistic, but that is also deeply awakening of yourself and your power and who you are. So yeah, I'm just excited and I'm grateful. I'm so, so grateful to human design and to Ra and to, all of these channeled systems that are so helpful. And I'm grateful to keep learning because sky's the freaking limit. There's just so much information out there. And once again, there's so much ability for you to channel the divine, like Dana was saying. Here's your permission slip to go out today with no shame. Notice where that might pop up and just like be present, choose to show up anyway and see what happens. Trust yourself, trust. And as always, if you're wanting to learn more about yourself, learn more about your design, your gifts, etc., you can find everything on our website, daylunalife.com. You also can find more on our Instagram at DayLuna and this podcast too. So if you're new to the podcast, you got a library to listen to if you feel called. And we recommend that you go and listen to your type episodes. Those are in the very beginning. Also, an episode lately that people have been referring back to that I feel like is coming back around with more relevance is our generational episode where we talk about the generations and Pluto and how, millennials versus Gen Z versus the boomers, Gen X, like the different themes there and our role to play as whatever generation you fall in under. I feel like that's been really relevant lately as we're shifting things right now. So that might be a fun one to go explore too. So we love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for making it through this whole transmission of our journey.
Yeah, I hope that it was really inspiring for everyone who listened, because we always feel that when we do these retreats that like not everyone can make it there physically, but everyone in our community is so interconnected. We're literally riding the same frequencies. We come in with shared missions and shared soul purposes of healing the world. And so we know that a lot of the information that we shared today is going to resonate with things that you might have already felt. So we really want to thank you for being on this journey with us and listening and receiving our reflections and transmissions. We also want to hear yours. So feel free to reach out to us on Instagram. And we are just so deeply honored and so grateful to be on this journey with you, to be walking our unique life paths, but alongside one another. So thank you so much. And we love you.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.